first came to Philadelphia, he was a little overweight. That was during his round mound of rebound days. But for a guy who was carrying a little extra weight, he can get off his feet really fast.
Gotta finish. Oh, what a rejection by Barkley!
How can you see a 6'4" guy do what he did? The rebound, block shot, score, and strong.
Ball taps it once and can't make it. Charles looks like he's just determined to take over this game. Oh, back.
If the ball was in the middle of 5 guys, everybody knew who would always come up with that ball. It was Charles Barkley. And not only grab it, but explode up.
Still fighting for it.
Look at him go.
Whoops. The sucker play by Barkley. Does it work?
Yes. Charles Barkley. He's not human.
What captivated fans wasn't just his tremendous talent, but his colorful personality.
What's the most important thing you have to do next game?
Score more points than they do.
He is really a different guy. His elevator doesn't always go to the top. He has charisma.
What comes to mind when you kind of see
Oh, snap. So this first joint is of Charles Barkley. This is in '96 when he actually pulled Stephen out to the side after they beat us, actually swept us. And we were just so eager to be in the playoffs and so happy to be in the playoffs. But he was like, hey, we needed this one. You guys got 1,000,000 years to be able to get you one. You know, y'all got to go through this. This is part of it. Every great players, every great team has to go through some type of something to be able to get to something. And we were like, I don't want to hear this. But he was like grabbing us, like, come here. Like his arm is around us, you know what I'm saying? I was shocked that Chuck did that. He was doing things in the series that was just, you know, when he would turn his face, his elbows was high, you know, he was just letting, you know, putting the dominance in on some alpha, you know what I'm saying? He was putting the dominance in it. And I was shocked that he cared enough to pull us to the side and actually his advice, and I was shocked at that. But there was some brotherly love that I always remembered, and I always thanked him for that off the court. Michael Jordan, Olajuwon, and Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was unstoppable at 6'4". He was still facing up off the glass. You one dribble, in the rim, 2-hand. Then he'll back you down for the whole 14 seconds.
Right.
So they started you know what I'm saying? Because it started, you know, people was going to sleep on it. So they wanted to quicken the game up. But Charles Barkley had a motor.
Charles Barkley, you old, man.
Charles Madman Barkley, round mound of rebound, and other funky names.
Here I feel my nickname, the bread truck, the love boat, food world, the Frisco Kid, which is my second favorite, the wide loafing league, town of fun, the good time blimp. But my favorite is the round mound of rebound.
And he was chiseled with Domino's and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Well, you know something, ladies and gentlemen, I've been big from the day I was born, and I ain't got no problem with it.
This is who's going to take it over, like him, and it only took about 2 or 3 years, and it was like, you know, it was Charlestown.
Comes Charles. Down the lane. Goodbye.
Oh, what a rejection by Barkley!
One of the most unique players in the NBA. We talk about his size, his strength, his jumping ability.
Whoops. The sucker play by Barkley. Does it work? Yes.
People don't realize that Charles Barkley is not more than 6'6".
You'd hear like he was 6'7", and then they try to say he's only 6'4".
There's no way he should have dominated the game the way that he did at his height.
At his size and do what he did, still better.
So here's Barkley now, going to go in by himself. Gets the offensive rebound and slams it.
He never seemed to get tired.
Just hard fight.
He was just like a freight train. He'd get on these fast breaks.
Right by Ellis. Oh!
For that year, he was the best player in the league. He presented a scare to us. They felt like they had a chance, and you know, barring from John Paxson's shot, you know, things could have been totally different.
That role of being Mr. Big Tough Guy all the time, making sure that everybody knew that, you know, when the Suns are coming to town, it's a possibility of you getting blown out, getting your butt kicked or whatever.
You go to the Sixers and you get paired with Charles Barkley. Talk a little bit about what it meant playing with him, scoring side by side with him. I mean, you guys were kind of the 1-2 punch there on a pretty solid team for those of you that don't remember. Talk a little bit about that if you could.
Yeah, Charles was interesting. Really a dear friend of mine still today. You know, Charles was the kind of player that
you know, he just exude confidence. You know, he knew he was a good player, and he demonstrated that every night.
Barkley was a dominant player, extremely dominant in the post area. He was one of the best and most talented players that's ever played the game of basketball in this system.
One of the great power forwards, particularly at his size, of all time. I mean, just dominating, physical, athletic, mentality. He was a joy to watch. I mean, we loved Barkley. I wasn't a big Sixers fan, but our man Barkley, he was. You watched him like you knew it was going to be elite, high-level, explosive basketball. And then he became this incredible personality and a television star, media darling, and to the point now where I think if you're not old enough, you don't really understand or appreciate just how good he was as a player. As entertaining, as successful, as famous as he is as a broadcaster, he was the same thing, the same level as a basketball player, one of the best ever. I don't even know if you appreciate from watching old footage. Like you had to just lace him up, go bump with him, see it for yourself. Man, this guy right here was incredible.
Charles had this, you know, magnetism about him, and he was very confident. Who wouldn't want to play with a guy like Charles? He wasn't going to lose. I mean, he would take everybody on his back and say, I'm going to get you to the promised land.
Barkley is Barkley. I don't think he's 6'3". He was just one of those rare players that size didn't matter. It was just determination.
Rebound, Barkley. He battles, he shoots, he scores. Sir Charles.
I mean, he would take on Goliath. I mean, he was just had that bravado about him. So Charles, he was unbelievable what he accomplished for his size.
I remember seeing Charles Barkley. Shout out Chuck, man. I remember seeing Charles Barkley saying, "No, I'm shocked that Udonis Haslem hasn't been drafted." And for me, I think even in that moment, you know what I'm saying, that was a breath of fresh air, lifted me up a little bit. Because when you have somebody like Charles Barkley, a Hall of Famer, you know what I'm saying, one of the top players that ever played the game, to speak your name and even know who you are on that particular night, I think that went a long way for me. But at that time, man, I was a little down, obviously, and just going through the things that I was going through. But that lifted me up instantly. You know what I mean? So shout out Chuck for that. He probably don't remember that.
I'm a bad dog.
Here comes Sir Charles. Whammo!
Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound. What made Charles so great is because you always hear the term size doesn't matter. And for Charles Barkley, size did not matter. You know, as a center, centers are always 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. Power forwards are always 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". Not Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was a solid 6'4". And he didn't care if you were taller, if you were bigger, if you were faster, you were stronger. He was going to go through it, and nothing could stop this man. And, you know, a guy that played with that tenacity, with that speed, with that force, plus the mentality that he had of not caring. You could tell by some of his interviews, he was going to be hard to stop.
Money doesn't matter. Endorsements don't matter. The only thing matters is winning.
Chuck was just different, man. Like, you know, he's small, but man, the things he could do on the floor, you know, most guys have the physical tools and the look that goes with that. But Chuck, he didn't have that, but there was just nobody better at creating space to get to their spots. And then he just had a complete game. He's a great passer. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good a passer he was. And you talk about that kill gene, where when it was time, that guy delivered more often than not. And I always admired Chuck too, because I just never felt like anybody had more fun playing a game